Another busy weekend out on the plains. So let's talk Auburn recruiting and recent transfer portal developments. In this video, I got insider Jeffrey Lee to break it all down with me. But first, Auburn fans, hit that subscribe button to the On3 Recruits channel. An exciting time out on the plains. Need you to be a part of it. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring on Jeffrey Lee of Auburn Live. And we are going to start with some transfer portal talk. Caden Salter looked to be leaving Liberty. He's a quarterback, but announced that he is not leaving Liberty and he is heading back. Now, Auburn sort of tipped their hand earlier in the week with the pursuit of Cam Ward. So what does Auburn do now at quarterback, if anything?
It's a great question, Josh. And, I think last time I was on here, maybe a week ago, it didn't look like Auburn was going to go after a transfer quarterback.
Right.
And I think they tested the waters, obviously, with Cam Ward. They tested the waters, in my opinion, with Caden Salter. They brought in C.J. Daniels. And I'm not so sure they didn't sneak in Caden Salter. Now, I haven't confirmed that, but there was a mystery visitor on campus the same day as C.J. Daniels. And, of course, later that night is when Caden Salter announced that he would be returning to Liberty. So what does Auburn do at quarterback? Of the guys that are in the portal right now, I don't see Auburn pushing hard for any of them. It just seems unlikely at this point that they take a transfer quarterback because there's just not any available that I think really moves that ceiling up for Auburn in that quarterback room. Now, for Auburn fans that have been following this closely and for Auburn fans that saw the bowl game against Maryland, they want a quarterback. They want to feel better. They want some hope. They don't have a lot of confidence in Peyton Thorne, and Peyton Thorne in 13 games didn't give them a lot of reason to have confidence. So if Hugh doesn't add a portal quarterback, there's going to be a lot of eyes on that position come next fall. And, there are a lot of fans that think he needs to add a quarterback. And, fans know more than the coaches, obviously.
All the time, especially on the message board. But you will also have that spring window. You also have the spring window for the transfer portal as well.
Yeah, and then that's when they brought Peyton Thorne in last year. It's actually in the summer he didn't get here. So he was kind of a late addition.
Right.
But I feel like if you were going to add a quarterback who isn't familiar with the system, a Caden Salter, a guy like that who knows Hugh Freeze's system. If you're not going to add a guy who has some background, some history with Hugh Freeze, you'd want to get him in to go through the spring. So maybe he just wants a guy to compete with Peyton Thorne in the summer. But as of this early window closing, I just don't see it. Unless it's something that we don't know, Josh, I just don't see it right now.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Very interesting narrative to kind of follow. Will Auburn or will they not take a quarterback? Hey, we saw them take Peyton Thorne over the summer, so we'll see what happens there at the position. Now, let's stay with Liberty transfers. Redshirt junior wide receiver C.J. Daniels is another one leaving Liberty. He's 6'2", 200, one of the most productive wide receiver options in the transfer portal right now, and he is highly coveted. Visited UF, Auburn, and Texas this weekend. Jeffrey, what are your sources saying when it comes to C.J. Daniels?
Well, we got to talk to him. Cole Pinkston did talk to him after the Auburn visit. He said all the right things. Nothing really no big revelations coming out of it. As I said, I'm not so sure that wasn't a tie-in with maybe Caden Salter at the time when Caden Salter was in the transfer portal. He left Auburn, went to Florida. I think he's supposed to visit Texas as well. I think Auburn's in it, but man, I think it would have. Went a lot longer ways if you would have gotten his quarterback. Plus, Auburn's got a couple of transfer wide receivers already committed. They've got a huge wide receiver class coming in from the high school ranks. I just don't know where C.J. Daniels would fit in on that. Not that they wouldn't take him. I just don't know that C.J. Daniels is looking for a full wide receiver room, which includes a couple of transfers.
Not like you said, already 2 transfer wide receivers, and they're still recruiting 5-star wide receiver Ryan Williams, who will be on campus in just a few weeks. So there's a lot going on in the wide receiver room. All right, let's move to offensive line. It appears Michael Tarquin, who is leaving USC, is now off the board. It appears he's heading to Oklahoma. He's committed. Sure. Mississippi State offensive lineman, though, Percy Lewis, he was on campus at Auburn on Saturday. How many is Auburn looking to sign? Are they out on Tarquin? What about Lewis? What's going on here?
Yeah, they never really generated a lot of buzz with Tarquin. They publicly offered him, trying to get him in for a visit. Obviously, that didn't work. He hasn't visited, at least that we're aware of, and it looks like, or appears to be, he's headed to Oklahoma.
Okay.
Now, offensive line, they had some guys in earlier in the visitation window back in December, committed out. So it really didn't push hard for those guys. They want a guy who can come in and play tackle and help maybe move that offensive line around. I think there's some guys at Auburn right now that they would feel better about maybe at other positions, maybe a Dylan Wade, a more prototypical interior guy.
Right.
They would like to get a guy on the outside to maybe push him inside to where he's more natural and probably will play in the NFL. Percy Lewis, being 6'6", 6'8", whatever he is, he's a mammoth offensive tackle. They brought him in. He was supposed to go to Ole Miss. He went to Arkansas. He's been to Auburn. I think he's going to make his decision as soon as Sunday, January the 7th. Josh, I think it's Auburn or Arkansas for him. And certainly we are on high alert for Percy Lewis at Auburn.
Okay.
So I think maybe get a tackle, and maybe that might be it.
Everybody's looking for it right now, but hey, we'll see what Auburn can pull out of the portal. You never know. Now, what happened with A.J. Harris, the former 5-star cornerback in the 2023 class, is leaving Georgia, and when he announced before the new year, it seemed like it was a wrap. He was going to head to Auburn, most likely. We knew he might take some visits, but since then, he has taken some visits, and it seems like Penn State is trending.
Yeah, certainly Auburn is trending downward. I actually took him off the board this past week. Last week we were talking about, Josh, I said, the longer this goes on, typically is not a good sign for that school. And it just kept going on and nothing happened. And you're going, something's going on. Now, and again, we talked about this last week, but the position, there was some miscommunication, maybe some misunderstanding about where Auburn projected him and maybe where he thought he made a better fit. Maybe NIL was a factor there, but we have certainly seen the fall off of A.J. Harris at Auburn. I changed my pick, and I truly believe A.J. Harris had intended to enter the portal, visit Auburn, commit to Auburn, and enroll in Auburn. I think that was kind of the plan initially. But something came up, whether it be NIL or whether it be position. But I've changed my pick to Penn State. I know it's not going to be Auburn. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and you're right. In the transfer portal, it seems like either these transfers either commit on that first visit, and if they take another, then that team that got that first visit, the chances go down and down and down every time they step on another campus. It seems like a lot of transfers are just looking for that place. Hey, if I can step on this first campus and I like it, I'm going there.
That's what it looks like. And if they leave that, and Robert Lewis was a great one of that. He visited Auburn. 2 hours later, he committed. You see that a lot. And I think fans, at least our subscribers, our members at Auburn Live, kind of have picked up on that. Like if a kid leaves and hasn't committed within 24 hours after exiting, typically it's not a good sign.
All right, so Percy Lewis is on the clock then because his visit wrapped up on Saturday. So we'll see what happens over the next 24 to 48 hours with him. Last question for you. What do you consider the biggest need Auburn still has left to fill?
Defensive line.
D-line.
Really think so. I mean, tight end is obviously a position of need as well, but it's not a huge position of need. It's not an immediate impact position for this next fall. I think defensive line is absolutely crucial for Auburn in this transfer portal right now, maybe again in the spring, but they've got a commitment from Gage Keys. Isaiah Rakes, the Texas A&M defensive lineman, supposed to make his decision fairly soon. They brought in Rakes for an official visit. They brought in Tomiwa Durajai from West Virginia. They also snuck in, they're not really snuck him in, but Trill Carter from Texas also came in for a visit. So keeping an eye on those three guys, I think Auburn would like to add at least two.
All right. Well, Jeffrey Lee with Auburn Live, thank you for dropping by the Inside Scoop. It was a busy weekend out on the plains, and it could be an even busier 24 to 48 hours in the transfer portal. Thank you for dropping by today.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.